This is Captain Tobias Wilcock welcoming you aboard Coconut Airways Flight 3722 to Bridgetown, Barbados. We will be flying at an height of 32,000 feet and at an airspeed of approximately 600 miles per hour. Refreshments will be served after takeoff. Kindly fasten your safety belts and refrain from smoking until the aircraft is airborne.
Whoa! I'm going to Barbados. Whoa! Back to the countries. Whoa! I'm going to see my girlfriend. Whoa! In the sunny Caribbean Sea. I don't wanna be a bus driver all my life. Seen too much of Brixton town in the night. Fly away on Coconut Airways. Fly me high, Barbados sky. I look up at the sky and I see the clouds. I look down at the ground and I see the rainbow down the drain. Fly away on Coconut Airways. Fly me high, Barbados sky. Whoa, I'm going to Barbados. Whoa, back to the countries. Whoa, I'm going to see my girlfriend. Whoa, in the sunny Caribbean Sea. Far away from London town and the rain. It's really very nice to be home again. Mary Jane with the coconut airplane. Now I know she loves me so. I'm going to Barbados. Whoa, back to the countries. Whoa, I'm going to see my girlfriend. Whoa, in the sunny Caribbean Sea.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now commencing our approach to Bridgetown, Barbados. The weather is fine with a maximum temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The sky is blue and the palm trees are really cool. Captain Wilcock and his crew hope you have had a pleasant flight and that you will fly Coconut Airways again.
Whoa, I'm going to Barbados. Whoa, back to the countries. Whoa, I'm going to see my girlfriend. Whoa, in the sunny Caribbean Sea. Whoa,
Bridgetown traffic control from Papa India 372 requesting commercial approach on ILS.
back to the countries.
Papa India 372 from Bridgetown traffic control. Cleared for ILS approach. Proceed and flight level 30. The aircraft is 10 miles from threshold altitude. Contact road taxi control on 127 decimal 9. All is going good. Really cool, really cool. Man, we'll be going down. See you in a minute, okay?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Inga.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And if you don't know the story about Barbados, you're going to soon find out because we're all off to Barbados today.
Suits me. It's raining here and it's 14 degrees.
Oh, well, you're off to Barbados, you'll be fine. Nice sunshine.
That's what I need. Yeah.
I think I've seen T-shirts, Yinka, it says already in Barbados. I've just got to get one of those.
Oh, definitely got to get one of those. I'm going to
Yeah.
look for one of them.
Google it. I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah, definitely going to get one of them. You'll see it when I come onto this session. So welcome everyone. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. But my name's Jinka, and I run Hear My Voice Book Club, which is an inspirational self-development books, and all of book clubs can be found on Meetup. I was already off in Barbados. I'm sat on the beach with my cocktails, and yeah. So what we've got on this week, what we've got left, we've got Saturday and Sunday, we've got Qigong at 7 a.m. and 8, well, it says 9, but it's 8 a.m. meditation with Joe. Not with Joe, but a Joe meditation. Next week, the only sessions that are on in the evening is the Tuesday Transformational Stories. What we've got coming up is the in-person book club on Thursday. So there's no online sessions apart from Tuesday and next weekend. We've got our in-person book club in Manchester Waterstones. If anybody wants to join, you have to book on for that one because it is limited spaces. Our next monthly book club is You Are the Placebo by Jodie Spencer. I know we've got a lot of Joe fans. So that's next month in August the 7th. And the 7th of September, we've got our Untethered Soul 21-day course starting. So if anybody wants to join that, that is a paid event with me and Giselle are going to be running that. So if you want any more information, message me, or if you want to join, message me. Next week, awesome week ahead. We have got our Become Supernatural, A Journey to Alignment on Saturday the 12th, 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. Sunday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a donation based to bring some cash flow into the book club to help keep it running. So if anybody wants to join, there's choices of donations, whatever you feel you can afford to donate. It will be recorded as well, so you'll also get the recordings of the events as well. And if anyone's around on Sunday, we've got Nick's Law of Attraction group. We've got 10 free spaces for that. We will be watching the Edinburgh Abraham Hicks workshop that we all went to. He's going to show that, and I'm going to put on a session at 2:30, which will be a mixture of Neville and Abraham Hicks teachings, if anyone wants to come on Sunday. So that's this Sunday at 12 till 6. So let's get on to what we're doing tonight. Neville Goddard, The Complete Reader's Guide. So we are on the final 2 chapters of The Power of Awareness and Your Faith is Your Future. So we've been doing a bit from each of the books because it contains 10 books. It's a nice book to have. It's a good size book as well. If anybody wants to get that. Obviously, I don't make any profits, but this, I can just say this is an amazing book. This definitely should be one of the books that is on your bookshelf. So Neville Goddard.
Every time.
Say again, sorry.
Didn't you say that every time?
Yeah, but this one's an extra special one, this one. But this one's the extra special. They're all great books, but this one's got an extra special.
So are you talking about the whole reader or just this 10th, the last chapters or the last books?
The whole reader, yeah, the whole book itself. Yeah,
Okay.
so much in there because it has got 10 books in there. It hasn't got all his books, but it's got his main books.
Yeah.
I do actually. I'll show you what I own. A Neville fan. Got it. Just stop showing so then you can see.
Need
So
to
this
get you
is.
a library link. Don't we?
Oh gosh, just dropped for a few. So this is the size of the book.
Oh, that's quite big.
Yeah, it's quite a hefty one.
That's so thick.
Yes.
Because the other ones are just skinny, aren't they?
Yeah, the other ones are really thin. So like this is the pruning shears. That's really thin. That's only
Yeah.
Can you show
that's
us again,
word.
Yinks? Because it's going on to different people.
Oh yeah,
Some-
there we go. I'll keep talking so it stays on me.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go. So it's quite a hefty one. You can see all my tabs in it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've got all these separate. Yeah. And the ones on my knee that I can't pick up. Yeah. The ones I've dropped on the floor.
Wow. And that's your favourite of them. All the favourite.
No, my actual favourite
I'm only kidding.
is getting around to it. The interpretation of scripture. That was my game changer one.
Oh, really?
That, yeah. That
Why is
so-
that your favorite,
Nice.
babe?
because it changed me in ways that'll probably change me forever. It's
Right.
changed
Okay.
how I read any book, not just biblical books, any book. It's changed every book I ever pick up. as a
That's
result
it.
of this one.
It's equal to whoever, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So it's what works for you, and then what
Yeah,
works for somebody else, and what fits in. So
yeah,
and that's how it works.
Babe, can you put it on the screen so I could take a screenshot of it?
yeah.
Thank you.
The first couple of times that I listened to Abraham Hicks, I was like, hang on, that's in the Bible. Oh, I like this interpretation of what's in the Bible. But yeah, so I'll look for this one. Thank you.
Yeah, because he doesn't talk about religion and Bible as the way you would hear in church. This is it's a very different interpretation. He talks about, is it metaphysical or
Yeah.
like it's a psychological concept of the mind, that's it. Not an
Lovely.
actual, so we interpret it in a way of a psychological meaning. So like things like when it talks about men and women, he talks about, it's not talking about men and women, it's talking about conscious and subconscious part of your mind. The feminine, which is the subconscious, and the male, which is the conscious part of the mind. The man is the seed, the dreamer that you're planting. So he talks about it very differently.
Let me refresh.
But yeah, because I was on the Bob Proctor program, and Bob Proctor always read Think and Grow Rich from 21 right through until the day he died. He was reading Think and Grow Rich. So I made a decision of choosing a book that resonated for me, because Think and Grow Rich didn't resonate as much. But this was the book that resonated for me. So finding a book that you resonate with, that can be your daily. It's not, I don't read loads of it. I just read a little piece of it every day. Decided to follow like the Bob Proctor kind of. He also read a lot of Neville's, but he read a piece out of the Think and Grow Rich every day, and he said his whole business was built upon that. Let's see what we've got. So Neville, I'm hoping this information's right. I've got it off the internet, so I'm not sure if it's 100% right. And
Are you
Neville
charging
Goddard was
or are you still charging?
Say again.
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay. Is it Niall Ufa? Did you want to say something?
It's Nilufer, thank you. Yes,
Nilufer.
if I may, I wanted to ask a quick question.
Yeah.
I just discovered about this group, and it's already sounding very awesome, but I just got a text from a friend asking for my help, so I do have to leave soon, unfortunately.
That's fine.
I did see that there was another one for me 6 a.m. in the morning. Is that like?
Yeah, so 5 a.m. Wait, what? Where are you?
I'm in the Netherlands.
Right. So are you an hour ahead? I'm
I
in the
think so.
UK.
It's
London.
quarter to 10 right now to me.
Quarter to 10. So it's 8:45 here. So
Yeah,
quarter to
she's
8.
1
Quarter to
hour
9.
ahead.
Yeah, 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try. So I will listen for 10 more minutes, I believe, and then
Yeah.
I'll try to be there tomorrow or at any other meetings. That's what I
Yeah.
want to say. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And just to let you know that if it's the same Zoom link for all the events, so if you know there's an event on, just save the Zoom link and you can just click into any events we've got. We haven't got that many online stuff next week, but we do have full weeks where we have full 5 a.m. club sessions and evening sessions and afternoon sessions.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
but
Sounds very good.
Meetup's probably the best place to find all of them, because I share them before in advance on there.
Okay.
So Neville Goddard was born on 19 February 1905 in St. Michael's, Barbados in the British West Indies. Neville was the fourth child in a family of 9 boys and 1 girl. He was a prophet, profoundly influential teacher and author. He did not associate himself as a metaphysician with any isms or new thoughts, teachings as commonly advertised by these collective groups. Goddard was sent to illustrate the teaching of the psychological truth intended in the biblical teachings and restore awareness of meaning to what the ancients intended, ancestors intended to tell the world. Goddard's interest in esoteric interpretation of the Bible deepened after he met Abdullah, an Ethiopian Jew who lectured in esoteric Christianity and taught both Goddard and Joseph Murphy. Neville Goddard believed that God was not an external entity, but rather that we are the creators of our realities, i.e. God in human form. From this sense, all realities can be shifted at any time through feeling and assumption. That's a little bit about Neville. So we've got a short video of Your Wish is Your Command. And then we're going to do a breakout room. We've got a little bit of Qigong. We've got some activities. We've got some fun activities as well to do this evening, and some meditation to finish with. So I am going to play this video as well.
Everything was once only imagined. Now tonight, find out exactly what you, not what they think you ought to want, what you want. Ask no one's permission. You don't need any man's permission. You don't need your own decision. What do I want? Now, what would it be like if it were true? What would I feel like were it true? Now, catch the mood and try to give that mood all the sensory vividness of reality, all the tones of reality, and then sleep in it, just as though it were true. And then await the inevitable. The inevitable is you're going to resurrect it and objectify it on the screen of space. And then the world will call it real. And they may not believe you. It doesn't really matter. If you tell them it came to pass because you simply imagined it. Now, they'll point to the series of events that led up to it. And they will give credit to the bridge of incident across which you walked towards the fulfillment of that state. And they'll point out some physical thing that was the cause. No, the cause is invisible, or the cause is God. And God is invisible to mortal eye. Who knows what you're imagining? No one knows. But you can sit down and imagine, and no one can stop you from doing it. But can you give reality to the imagined state? If you do, yes, a bridge of incident will appear in your world. And you'll walk across some series of events leading up to the fulfillment of the imaginal state. But don't give causation to any physical step that you took towards the fulfillment of it. You imagined yourself having a marvelous business. And then comes the day a building is for sale, and you haven't a nickel towards it. And not a total stranger, but a man comes in and asks you quite in a friendly manner, are you going to buy it? And knowing you don't have a penny, you say to him, as you would a friend to a friend, with what? And then he said, well, I have money. It's only in the bank drawing nothing. You say, but I have no collateral. Well, he said, I watch you. You're an honest person. Your family, they're honest. I think they are. Would you like me to buy it for you? I'll get my lawyer to bid for it. If they knew that I'm bidding, that I have money, they'll bid me up. And so I get it at the very lowest price by getting a lawyer who represents more than one client, and they do not know who he represents, and he'll bid for it. Are you willing to take it regardless of the price? And you say, yes, I'll take it. But I have no collateral. All I need is your signature, that you will simply pay 6% on whatever the price is, and then reduce that principal over a period of 10 years. Agreed? Yes. But then sign this, and we'll see if we can buy it. That day, you owned the building. And you didn't have one nickel when you owned the building that day. You only had your signature on a piece of paper. At the end of 10 years, you repaid the man his principal. You reduce it every year, paying him 6% on the remaining principal, and reduce the entire thing at the end of 10 years. That man dies 20 years later and leaves you $150,000 in cash, tax-free, and a couple of homes and many personal belongings. In the meanwhile, you continue in that business, and it multiplies and multiplies. And that year was 1922, 1924. This is now 1968. That building, I'm speaking factually, that building in 1924 is now gone. He paid only $50,000 for it. It was repaid and repaid. A bank 3 years ago bought the property, because the building was rotted, bought the property for $840,000 in cash and no capital gain, from $50,000 to $840,000. In the meanwhile, the business has expanded into all the other islands, so that today you couldn't buy them out for $15 million. All in imagination. And this goes back to the imagination that preceded this man's offer to buy the building. For the young man seeing this building and entertaining a thought that the present owners deceived his father, and through deception got him out of a partnership, a junior partnership. And he was moved not to get even, but to prove that he really had something within him and could be a success in spite of their deception. And so every day he would see on that marquee not their name, but his own family's name. And he would see it in his mind's eye, because you could not take their name and transliterate it and make it spell this man's family's name. But he saw it, and in his mind's eye he saw that name, which if true would imply the family owned it. He did it every day, twice a day for 2 years. And then came this sudden, out of the nowhere. And the whole thing was made possible, and today they're all over the islands. And they have no partners. They've never taken in one partner, never sold one bit of stock outside of a family ownership. All by imagination. Now, I know what I'm talking about because I'm a member of that family. I'm speaking of my own family. This is not hearsay. I know it. My second brother, Victor, was the one in whose imagination this whole thing began to bloom. And he still works all by imagination. He knows what he wants, and then after having decided in himself, that's what I want, and that's good for the business, he then in his mind's eye, he appropriates it. And then let things happen. As told us in Scripture, the vision has its own appointed hour. It ripens, it will flower. If it be long, then wait, for it is sure, and it will not be late. Read that in the book of Habakkuk. Here is the true translation of that passage in Habakkuk. So when you know what you want, remain faithful to that assumption. And the assumption, though at the moment, is denied by your senses and denied by reason. If you persist in it, it will harden into fact. Are we not told that God calls a thing that is not seen as though it were seen, and then the unseen becomes seen? He calls everything from the unseen into the seen in this simple manner. For he is the resurrecting power. So if I assume that I am, I don't have to have evidence to support it. I assume that I am. I am what? Well, I name it. And having given it a name, given it form, given it definition, remaining in it, I resurrect it. So I know what I'm talking about. All I need from you is the acceptance of it. Will you believe it? Will you believe that with God all things are possible? Will you believe that all things are possible to men? Well, you can prove it in the not distant future. But you are the operant power. It will not work itself. If you dare to assume this very night that you have a better job than you now hold, or that you have a larger income, you may be fired tomorrow. Don't be concerned. On reflection, you'll see it was necessary to move you towards the fulfillment of your assumption. You could be fired. And I wouldn't bat an eye if you told me tomorrow, well, I did what you told me. You know what happened? I was fired. I have seen that. It takes someone to fire you to get you into a better job. I have seen that time and again. I wouldn't go out and quit the job. You may be promoted in the job, or you may be invited by some other concern that is competitive to join them. I do not know how it happens. I only know if you remain faithful to the assumption, it's going to happen, and you're going to be promoted towards the fulfillment of the state that you have dared to assume that is yours. I could tell you unnumbered stories along this nature. So here I say, dwell in the end. The end is where we begin. For if I've seen my name on the marquee, that's the end. I don't wait for the incident to take place in my world, to move from one to the other, leading up to that, I dwell in the end. If I go to the very end, what would it be like were it true?
I think you will find tonight's message a very practical one. Something that all should.
We're going to go and do a breakout room of what you've enjoyed the most about Neville Goddard's teaching, what part of the book or any teachings of this week, if you've not read the book, had the most impact on you, or a favourite piece or quote from the book. I just saw, Tracy, you put a book in, the Abdullah book, Teacher. Do you have that book?
Yeah, I've got it, and I've got it in PDF form, and I did actually share it in the group, but I can share it again if you like.
Oh yes, please. Yeah.
It's really good, yeah.
Because I did look on Amazon to see, but I don't think it's the right book.
Okay, I'm sure I've still got the PDF. I'll share it with you. It's a really good one, yeah. Just about the
Oh,
his
thanks,
teachers. Yeah.
Tracy.
I'll find it later and put it on in the Hear My Voice normal book club one.
Yeah.
Shove it in that one, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm just going to pause the recording. So I forgot to click record, but I will put that video with the recording. People can have a go with the video we've just done. Did anyone notice a difference? Could you feel the energy? Yeah. So this is the Power of Awareness part from the Complete Readers by Neville Goddard. Just realised you couldn't unmute then. So man is arbiter of his own fate, and that it is his concept of himself that determines the world in which he lives. If you had a different concept of yourself, everything would be different. The events which you observe are determined by the concept you have of yourself. If you change your concept of yourself, the events ahead of you in time are altered. In fact, change your future. So your concept of yourself, such as I am strong, I am secure, I am loved, determines the world in which you live. Everything depends upon its attitude toward itself. That which it will not affirm as true of itself cannot awaken in its world. It's only by change of consciousness, by actually changing your concept of yourself, that you can build more stately mansions, the manifestations of higher and higher concepts. The reason lies in the fact that consciousness is the one and only reality. It is the first and only cause, principle, substance of the phenomena of life. Nothing has existed for man except through the consciousness he has of it. Therefore, it is to consciousness you must turn, for it is the only foundation on which the phenomena of life can be explained. It is of vital importance to understand clearly just what consciousness is. Consciousness is the one and only reality. There is only one I am, and you are that I am. So I've got a video for us of this is Bob. Oh no, it's not Bob's. This is a different video. This is a message from Abdullah. I don't know why it says Bob's. I think it was for another session.
My old friend taught me that lesson vividly back in 1933.
There was a deep depression in this land. Many of you are too young to remember it, but I am almost now 67. And I went through the deep depression back in New York City. I was a dancer. And who would pay a dancer when they couldn't eat? All the theaters were closed. I don't think more than 3 theaters out of 50 were open in Times Square. So who wanted the dancer? I would have danced for anything, for a meal. And no one wanted to pay a dancer. So what would I do? I wanted to go to my little island called Barbados. And I had no money. But when I said no money, I mean no money. Not just a little bit, but none. I said to my friend Abdullah, I would love to go to Barbados. He said to me, you are in Barbados. I said, I am in Barbados? He said, yes, you are now in Barbados. I didn't quite understand what he was telling me. I learned it afterwards. He was telling me that if I want something, I must now, at that moment that I want it, assume that I have it. I want to go to Barbados. I am in Barbados. So this night when I sleep in Barbados. How? In my imagination. And how do I know I'm there? Think of New York City, where physically I'm sleeping, and see it to my north, 2,000 miles, northwest of where I am in Barbados. Well, the months went by, and I didn't see any evidence. I said to him, you know, Ab, if I don't make the next boat out, or no planes were flying, no commercial planes were flying in those days, I can't go to Barbados. He said to me, who said you are going to Barbados? You are in Barbados. You can't discuss how you're going to Barbados when you are already in Barbados. Then he walked straight to his room and slammed the door in my face, which was not an invitation to follow him. If you knew him, that's how he taught me. I am asleep as though I am in Barbados. And when I went to bed, though in New York City, I had assumed that I am actually in Barbados and see New York City not under me, but to the north of me, 2,000 miles. And I woke within 48 hours after that moment, and under my door was a letter from my brother Victor. And in that letter, he enclosed a small little draft, $50. He said, I have told the steamship company, the Furnace Whitty Company, to issue you a ticket and charge it to me. The $50 is simply if you want some little thing, like a suit of clothes. In those days, you could buy a suit for $12, a fairly decent suit. You could buy a pair of shoes for $3.50 or $4. But he said the $50 just for anything you may need to get aboard the ship. But sign the chits, I'll meet the ship and pay all expenses, and I will pay all the tips. So it's not for tips aboard the ship. I went down to the place and I told them what my letter said. I read my letter to them. They said, Mr. Goddard, we only have steerage from now on. But when we get to St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, you may have first class because someone disembarked in St. Thomas. I accepted it. I went back to my friend Abdullah and I told him, it worked. I'm going on the 6th of December, but I have to go steerage until we hit St. Thomas, and then we go first class to Barbados. You know what he said to me? He said, who is talking of going to Barbados? You have gone to Barbados and you went first class. Well, what are you going to do with a man like that? I went straight to the boat on the morning of the 6th, expecting I would go steerage to the Virgin Islands, when the man said to me, Mr. Goddard, we have a nice surprise for you. We had a cancellation, and so now you're going first class. He wasn't surprised. I wouldn't even call him to tell him, because he was not given that way. He was trying to teach me a lesson. You believe in God, believe in me also. Well, the one speaking is God. It's the God in you, your own wonderful human imagination. If you say, I believe in God, everyone here believes in God, but do you believe in your own wonderful human imagination as God? If the word God conveys the sense of an existent something outside of you, you have the wrong God. Because you are the temple of the living God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. Well, if he is in me, find out who he is and where he is. Well, I have found him to be my own wonderful human imagination. That's the God in me. It's the God in you. And may I tell you, he cannot fail. He will not fail. But here on this level, we are the operant power when it comes to the law. When it comes to the promise, that is coming regardless of the life we live in this world. Whether I be rich or poor, be the judge or the one being judged, the murderer or the victim, regardless of what part I play in this world, the promise is not conditioned. It is unconditioned. God promised to redeem himself when he became man. So my fitness for the kingdom of God is not the condition when I make myself good. It is the consequence, not the condition of his choice when he called me into the kingdom. So let no one frighten you that you're doing things that's going to stop you from entering the kingdom. It is not conditioned by anything you do in this world. The only condition is on the law. I can say that if I go in a certain direction, I will not encounter certain things. If I dare to assume that I am what I want to be, and I am faithful to that assumption, it will come to pass. If I am not faithful to it, it will not come to pass. If I don't assume that I am it, it will not come to pass. So I am the operant power when it comes to the law. But when it comes to the promise, that is coming regardless of what you do or where you are or anything in this world. Everyone will be redeemed. But everyone. But here when it comes to the law, spend all your time while you are here, because the other is working, is coming. So while you are here, take the law and try to understand it and try to apply it wisely. Why not live well? Why not live graciously? Why not be a kind person, a generous person in the world? Why not be a gentleman? Why not be a lady? These are tremendous accomplishments for man and for woman in this world. So I say to everyone, while you are here, find out what the law is all about. Because you can't deceive yourself, because the law will not allow you to. As you reap the things in this world, you may deny that you planted them, but it couldn't happen by accident. So be not deceived, God is not mocked. For as a man sows, so shall he reap, and he's reaping everything morning, noon, and night. I may not remember my sowing and deny the harvest that is mine, but it's there and I've got to accept it. Let me now try to remember, when did I plant this? Maybe I can't bring it back. We have very short and faulty memories, and I can't quite remember when I planted that seed. Why, the morning's paper, as you read these horrible stories, would tell you when you planted it. You do not know the characters spoken of in the paper, yet you react. And that reaction was in itself the planting of the seed. You passed judgment on those that you read about. You read the gossip of the paper and you're passing judgment. And all of your imaginary reactions are planting seeds. Instead of spending your wonderful time and investing it by, say, reading the Bible or reading a poem, read something that is altogether lovely, we spend our time on the paper or the radio bulletin or the TV. And all day long we're simply putting into our mind ideas that must come to harvest. And when they come, we deny that we planted them. But here, on this principle of the law, you can be what you want to be in this world. I don't care what the world will tell you. You can start from scratch. And if you dare to assume that you are wanted in this world, you will be wanted. I am not a member of any club in the land. And yet, here I am an American citizen today by adoption. And yet, wonderful men and women in this land have never been allowed to enter certain clubs. I'm speaking of clubs I know well back in New York City. And yet, I, a stranger, have gone as an honored guest to almost every one of them. Because I never barred myself. It never occurred to me that I didn't have all the qualifications to enter as a guest. I have no desire to become a member. None. Yet I have gone to all of these clubs as a guest of those who were members. They came to my meeting and asked me for dinner, and they took me to the club, or asked me for some other purpose to go to the club. So not a thing in me allowed me to be barred, because I didn't bar myself. You can go any place in this world if you don't put these barriers on yourself. It's entirely up to you. God in you is your own wonderful being called your human imagination. In the 4 weeks that I'm gone, practice it morning, noon, and night. And long before the 4 weeks, you should show the fruit. I'm serious about it. You should bear the fruit of planting now. Not everything takes a month. Not everything takes a year to grow. Some things come up overnight. And you can plant it now, this very moment, by daring to believe that you are what at the moment reason denies and your senses deny. And actually feeling. Give it the tones of reality. And then drop it. You don't pick it up tomorrow morning to see if it's growing. You accept it. And in its own good time, it comes to fruition in your world. That is the law.
So who said you are going to Barbados? You are in Barbados. You cannot discuss how you're going to Barbados when you are already in Barbados. That moment is one of the most powerful teachings Neville ever shared, and it perfectly captures living in the end, the heart of his message. Abdullah's words weren't just a rebuke, they were a spiritual correction. He was reminding Neville and all of us that when you imagine and assume something fully, it is already done in consciousness. The how becomes irrelevant, because in the imagination, the place where all creation begins, the desire is already fulfilled. He was saying, stop talking like it hasn't happened. Stop preparing for it. Stop doubting the process. If your imagination has placed you there, then you're already there. Your job now is to live, feel, think, and act from that end, not towards it. So when Abdullah slammed the door, it wasn't out of rudeness, it was a bold act of faith, saying there is no room for doubt, it's done. You're already in Barbados. That door slam was symbolic. It shut out hesitation, disbelief, the temptation to rely on physical facts rather than spiritual truth. Reflective question. What thoughts of doubt do you need to slam the door on when it comes to your dreams? Take a moment to really consider. Is it the thought I'm not ready, the belief it's too late for me, the fear of what if it doesn't work, the feeling I'm not worthy, the voice whom am I to want this? These are the squatters of mind occupying space that belongs to your vision. Slam. Close the door on those thoughts. Don't entertain them. Don't follow them. Let the door click shut with confidence. Instead, like Abdullah taught Neville, declare to yourself, it is done. I'm already there. I do not entertain anything less. So slam the door shut on doubt. Let these two prompts that I'm going to share with you now speak to different part of you. Write to both, even if your answer overlap. See what new truth emerges. So when we go into the first question, so get your pens and paper ready, then write it the answer And in the next question, it might be similar, but still write out the answer just aloud. See if anything else different comes up the second time. What doubts, fears, or limiting beliefs do you need to slam the door on once and for all? Who do you become when those voices no longer get to speak for you? Right from the perspective of your powerful, fulfilled self, the one who already made it happen. So we're going to take a few minutes with that. I'm just going to get my pen as well. I shall play some music for us. So what doubts, fears, or limiting beliefs do you need to slam the door on once and for all? Who do you become when those voices no longer get to speak for you? Right from the perspective of your powerful, fulfilled self, the one who already made it happen. So in the next question, what squatters have lingered too long in the sacred space of your mind? Give them name, let them speak once, then send them on their way. In their place, right from your highest self, what does it say? Feel, know now that you are already living the vision once only imagined. So what squatters have lingered too long in the sacred space of your mind? Give them a name, let them speak once, then send them on their way. In their place, right from your highest self, what does it say? Feel, know, now that you are already living in the vision you once only imagined. So I'm going to play some music for that. Be a good idea if I muted myself so you could hear me. So let's seal it in. Now take a moment to embody your decision. Stand up, stretch or move in a way that slams the door. You can go around your house and slam the doors if you don't live with anybody. Slam those doors on doubt. Use your breath, your hand, your body, whatever feels good. Let your whole being declare, I am already there. Smile, dance if you want. It's done. You're off to Barbados. So if you want to move about, move your energy, slam doors, whatever it takes, just get that body moving into that new place because you're off to Barbados.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Toba
Tobias Wilcock welcoming you aboard Coconut Airways Flight 3722 to Bridgetown, Barbados. We will be flying at an height of 32,000 feet and at an airspeed of approximately 600 miles per hour. Refreshments will be served after takeoff. Kindly fasten your safety belts and refrain from smoking until the aircraft is airborne.
I'm going to Barbados. Back to the palm trees. I'm going to see my girlfriend in the sunny Caribbean Sea. I don't wanna be bus driver all my life. I've seen too much of Brixton town in the night. Fly away on Coconut Airways, fly me high, Barbados sky. I look up at the sky and I see the clouds. I look down at the ground and I see the rainbow down the drain. Fly away on Coconut Airways, fly me high, Barbados sky. Whoa, I'm going to Barbados. Back to the palm trees. I'm going to see my girlfriend in the sunny Caribbean Sea. Far away from London town and the rain. It's really very nice to be home again. Mary Jane with the coconut airplane. Now I know she loved me so. I'm going to Barbados. Back to the palm trees. I'm going to see my girlfriend in the sunny Caribbean Sea.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going summer approach to Bridgetown, Barbados. The weather is fine with a maximum temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The sky is blue and the palm trees are really cool. Captain Wilcock and his crew hope you have had a pleasant flight and that you will find Coconut Airways again.
I'm going to Barbados. Back to the palm trees. I'm going to see my girlfriend in the sunny Caribbean Sea.
Bridgetown traffic control from Papa India to receive a tour requesting permit to approach on ILS. Papa India 37 from Bridgetown traffic control. Cleared for ILS approach. Proceed and flight level 30. The aircraft is 10 miles from threshold approach. Contact road taxi control on 127.9. How's it going, brother?
So we're all off to Barbados. I will probably never hear that song the same again after reading listening to that video. So faith is your fortune. You must be absolutely convinced of an unbroken connection between the invisible reality and its visible manifestation. Your inner acceptance must become an intense, unalterable conviction which transcends both reasons and intellect, renouncing entirely any belief in the reality of the externalization, except as a reflection of an inner state of consciousness. When you really understand and believe these things, you will have built up so profound a certainty that nothing can shake you. Your desires are the invisible realities which respond only to the commands of God. God commands the invisible to appear by claiming himself to be the thing commanded. He made himself equal with God and found it not robbery to do the work of God. Now let this saying sink deep in your ears. Be conscious of being that which you want to appear. Be conscious of being that which you want to appear. So we're going to go into a meditation, but before we do, if anybody wants to unmute and want to share anything, is there any takeaways that you've taken from tonight, or anything that's kind of woke up anything within yourself, or any of the anything you've heard from Neville that's inspired
Can I
you?
share? Can you hear me? It's
Yes, we can
Gina.
hear you, Gina.
Hi. I've been to Barbados.
Yay.
I have been. I rode a horse on Brighton Beach, is what it was called, and along with a red man. So he was like an original native. He was red and highly respected as well on the island. Because when I got to the port, I was swamped by taxi drivers, and I said, "Oh no, such and such is picking me up," but they all backed away. It was like amazing. So yes, I've been, woo, and I've even got caftans that I bought because I like to buy practical things when I'm away to bring back memories. So yes, I've got these lovely, colourful, comfortable. I might add caftans. So woo, woo, woo.
Ooh, lovely. Would anyone else like to share?
I think what sorry, I have all these no, I had all these doubts and all these Mrs. Moody, I've just called her. But this last bit, it just really reminded me of that one time when I found out there was an Abraham Hicks workshop happening in Amsterdam the next weekend, and I just said I was going to be there, and I did everything as if it was sure that I was going. There was never any doubt. I had a moment where I had doubt, but then I was in one of those Facebook groups, and they helped me to just level out those thoughts. And even when my mom was asking about so do you have the tickets and everything, I just responded with, I'm going, everything's organized, I will attend that workshop. So I did not allow myself to go in any other direction, and I got exactly what I said that was going to happen. I said that I wanted to arrive in Amsterdam with a ticket, and as I was on the train towards Amsterdam, someone called me and offered me the ticket. So I learned to just schedule it like a couple of days before that time next time. But yeah, so it's a good reminder. It's good to be reminded of that, of like, okay, yeah, I just have to stick to it and to really be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get a chance to write down every experience you remember like that, where you've just believed in it and you've just connected and just gone, and things come your way and to make it happen.
I think for me it is, or maybe that's also a type of doubt, or a type of resistance, not doubt, but resistance. I find it easier when I can do something, so like with that event, I was like, okay, right, I am going to go there. What can I do to get a ticket? I have to find a babysitter, and then I contacted some friends to stay the night and everything. So I just did all these practical things as if I was already going there.
So you did all the things that you could do, and then
Yeah.
the rest took over itself.
Yeah, and then I got suddenly on Friday, I think, or on Thursday, I got the inspiration to send a message to Abraham Hicks group, and then apparently they gave my number to someone who on Friday evening decided to cancel. So yeah, and that girl was just very relaxed. She said, "Don't worry about the money. Just I know that you're right now in a hurry, and you can send me the money after the weekend." So I practically, I mean, I paid her after, but in principle, I was just at the workshop for free. So yeah, that was really
Awesome.
good. Yeah, so that's something that yeah, it's good to realize that the other bit of where I'm like, okay, so how do I do that? What can I do? And that's also resistance, and
But
Yeah.
sometimes asking yourself, what can I do or how can I do that is creating resistance. Sometimes allowing the flow to come. I've made the decision, that's where I'm going, and whatever comes my way, I'll just follow the flow. And sometimes that takes the pressure off, whoa, I've got to do something, and oh, that
Yeah.
resistance.
Yeah.
Just make the decision, slam the door on everything else,
Yeah.
and that's what you're doing. You're going.
Yeah. Something to work on. Thank you.
Maybe it doesn't even need work on. Maybe just getting in that allowance state. Assume it. It's done. It's done. It's done.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the teaching is, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not how am I going to get it? It's being in the state that I have got it. I'm there. I'm in it. So then you don't have to worry about the how. But you've definitely woken me up, Yinka,
Yeah.
today. I'm like, all these dreams, this is my year of a job. I got my house last year, and it was just a series of steps that I remember with my house, I made the decision this weekend I will find the house for me. I know what my criteria is now. I'm going to find it. And I found it that weekend. And I'm now standing in the very house.
There you go.
Yeah. And
you did it.
How did I do it? I just had to make a decision between two houses. And this in the end was the house that came out. But I found it when I decided this is going to happen. And I'm realizing, it doesn't have to be big things. It can be little things, just really believing in, that life can open up. And then the vibration is that's where your life has to go, because that's the vibration that you're at. That this year is my year of the job. And I really would love to work for myself, and I work in the National Health Service, and
talk about it like I'm working for myself.
And I'm realizing it's felt like a pipe dream all my life. And I was self-employed when I was, however many decades ago, and I never took myself seriously. And I remember looking back thinking, why didn't you take yourself seriously in that? It's like you were actually doing it then. And anyway, I came out and ended up in the National Health Service. And now I'm thinking, no, stop, just don't give up the dream, just so let's see.
And hear your question, why didn't I take myself seriously? It may be because you're asking yourself a stupid question. Because stupid questions, the mind has to go and find an answer for that. Why didn't I? I've got to find you 1,000 reasons now why you didn't. And now you're going to have to believe why you didn't. Change the question.
Yeah.
Because when you're looking back on why you didn't, you're going to recreate why you didn't.
That situation. Well, maybe I just need to look back and say, you did it then. Because I have realized, it's easy to play yourself small, isn't it? It's very easy to make out, oh, I'm doing it, but I'm not, I'm not really that great. And, it's very well, I find it easy to be like that. And I realized, no, you did it. You were self-employed. Actually, yes, of course, we can all embellish who we are, but the bottom line was I did for 7 years. I worked, had a contract for 5 years. And
but now speak it as it is now. Get into the speaking of as it is. That was then. Now I am.
I am that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you. You really woken me up today.
Love it. Can't wait to when you come on and you're saying, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
You can start.
Remember when you said it about the house? And you were looking at the house.
And that's it. When you get those things happening, then it's like, the doubts can disappear, but it's amazing what limitations we put on ourselves as to what is possible. Like that Barbados example, you listen and you think it's ludicrous. He's saying, I am in Barbados. But then, he went first class, and, why our lives can be the same. So
I loved how Abdullah just shut the door on that. He just walked away from him and shut the door. As soon as he went to speak, any doubt, that was it. And he's off, and he's shutting the door on it. And I think that's a good reminder for each of us to do the very same. Shut the door on those thoughts. Because we're there.
I
does.
think that, you know, it's like since I started, and also since the Esther seminar, and we started to be more in touch, and I just realized that when reading and listening to the Dispenza's books, he explained this. It's like a muscle, right? We just we right now we realize it. It's like you got this moment of awakening right now, yeah, because you just heard it. And for the 3 minutes, I was in the flow of seeing that person and being that person. You know, you're in Barbados, and I think it's just like a muscle. Like, you know, you go for a run every, you know, every other day, or you hit the gym, or you know, you go to work, you do these things where you become very good at. And so I think the more you scratch the surface on this muscle of, you know, becoming, I think this is also the thing that comes with the practice as well. So I love the fact that we can every couple of days remind ourselves in a way that we are in a Barbados. So not just from you know, philosophical perspective, but really like this scientifically, like you train your brain to actually get into that state more and more, and it gets used to it, that you will, you know, speak and live from that end. So I really like this Neville's teaching, and Wayne Dyer, when many times mentioned this, the living from the end. So it's amazing to have this reminder. And I think, you know, the more you get into that state, the more you accept it, the more you accept it, the more you expect it from yourself too. It's just normal. It's like I had a coffee yesterday. It's normal. Same thing.
Because Neville talks about it just like breathing. We see breathing as a
Yeah.
normal thing. Manifesting and having the things that we want is just like breathing.
Do you remember like 3 days back? And I obviously like there are days when I'm coming from work a little bit later. And so maybe if I'm, you know, if I have some chill time and I realize, you know, prep for the session, so it would be easier. But you find yourself, when you told me like you're not speaking it the way you would want to say that story, like you're telling the story that maybe later in the future, and you often stop yourself, you know. But once you get that to that point, you're not talking about it anymore, right? So it's like, yeah, why would I want to go to why would I want to have that special role or that business or that thing when I already have it? Why would I have there's nothing interesting to talk about anymore, like. So I
It's
think
already
that's
done.
like, I'm not excited. Like, I'm excited about having coffee tomorrow, but I know I'm gonna just get that coffee. And it's the same thing, like, with anything really. It's just small or big. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Ali.
Yeah, what's up? How's it going? I'll just be very brief. I mean, it's just interesting. I find just to have somebody to talk to. I think that's the main thing, and just to bring a little bit of. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to bring a little bit of positivity into my life, because I think for me, I'm 40 now, so like I say, part of the millennial generation, beginning middle age and whatever. But I think that I've felt a lot of pain in my life. I don't mind sharing this. I'll be very brief. Like I'll be very succinct and very brief. So like my background is I grew up in the English education system. It was very strict, very stiff upper lip, like that kind of thing. And I grew up around teachers who were part of the British Army. So that was kind of like put into my head to be very regimental, very kind of that way. But I think for me, the good thing is now I just think to myself, I want to distance myself from pain. I want to feel more joy. I want to feel more happiness. I want to actually more than that. I want to feel more contentment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Really.
Yeah. I totally get that as well. And I went through that stage where I wanted to completely move myself out of pain.
Yeah.
Now I'm realizing through different things that I'm doing of learning and discovering that you were going to experience pain even in the good stuff. So you might as well experience pain going for the very thing that you want. You know, when learning something new, there's a pain in getting those muscle memories. So because I was trying to really avoid pain, which I really learned by when I started going to the gym, and I had a swimming teacher to learn different techniques. I've discovered that I was trying to my avoidance of I wanted to shut out pain. I'd experienced enough. It was like, right, that's it. I'm not doing, which was a good place to be because I needed to be there in that place and just shut certain things out of my life. But then I realized by doing these, learning new things, I need to open up to experience pain for the good reasons because there's a good level of pain and recognizing when pain's a good pain. And then there's the negative pain, the pain that tells you to get out, don't stay in that kind of environment. But then there's the good pain of learning, which eventually you'll find your own balance in.
It's a very, very interesting point. And I empathize with what you're saying, definitely. And I think I'm making references to the 90s, like
Yeah, that was tough.
1998, I would have been 14, so I was a kid. So I'm 40 now. But in the 90s, there was a television advert by British Telecom, BT. And I find it not the trance musician from the 1990s, my generation, but the BT, the British Telecom. And it said something very interesting. It's good to talk.
Hmm.
I remember that, you know.
Yeah. But it's quite interesting that certain things were not spoken about.
That's Bob Hoskins, weren't it? It's good to talk. I actually
Was that
took
Bob Hoskins?
campaign.
Bloody hell, geez.
Yeah, I took it to a group of managers in Asda at the time because that would have been about 96,
Oh, I
97.
would have been a 12-year-old. I was 12 then.
Yeah, and we had to do a campaign, and I said, right, it's good to talk, and that's what we based it on. That.
Yeah. Yeah. So would anyone else like to share any takeaways before we go into a meditation?
I think I just want to say that it works for the small stuff as well.
Yes.
I've manifested many little things that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just allowing yourself to remember all those little things that do come about each day because we're so used to it. We don't even realize that's what we're doing. Yeah, but I'm so glad that we've done this this week.
One thing I've noticed or come across is you have to take some form of action, maybe in most cases, like in the direction of what you want. So, for example, the lady, with the house, let's say, she had to, go out looking for that house and and go and see it and stuff, and the Amsterdam lady, she was on the train to Amsterdam. Action. We need action as well as just thinking it.
Yes, but what Neville speaks about is not the type of action where you're fighting for something. Before you've even aligned, because he says very much about it's about getting into the presence of already being it rather than trying to fight for it, because that's an energy that's very different. So
Yeah,
there is an
but
action required, but it's not a fight.
when I was doing the sort of fighting or when I was getting frustrated and was trying, that's when I went back to the Facebook group and just shared that that's where I was. And then I did loads of meditations because it's just the struggle is almost like you're putting a wall up, and it just makes it more difficult. Whereas after I did the meditation, I suddenly thought, oh, I should send a message to the Abraham Hicks group. And so, yeah, and then it was just easy. It was just, yeah.
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 And
There
it's
were
taking
people
inspired action from that
yeah,
place of the end.
yeah. And it's just, the funny thing was that I went to that workshop and I was sitting next to people, and then I shared that, like I manifested the tickets within a week, and I found it very difficult because I wasn't used to staying aligned and to not go into those conversations all the time. So I said, well, I wonder if it could be done easier. And then I had just asked that question, and the next person that went on stage said, oh, yeah, I just manifested the tickets and I decided, I think, in the midst of the week to go here. So I was like, oh, yep, there's my proof. So that was just really easy to get that answer as well. Yeah, it's all about alignment and believing and just knowing that it's done. It's like, yeah, I'm going. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Ali's put in who's Abraham Hicks. If you go on YouTube, Ali, and put in Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks, it's there'll be loads of videos. She's like a speaker as well.
Okay.
And quite a few of us went to Edinburgh to go and visit her as
No,
well.
forgive me. I've never heard of it. I've heard of Joe Dispenza briefly.
Yeah.
Abraham Hicks, I've never heard of.
Oh, you definitely if you like Neville, you might like Abraham Hicks
All
as
right,
well.
I'll check it out.
Teachings, so they're quite similar. They're just different way of explaining it.
And also he explains a lot science into it, so it's very methodical, pragmatic, and it's like so yeah.
Abraham Hicks. Okay, has he got any books?
It's if you look at Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks
I'll check it.
books, that they're the teachers of Abraham Hicks.
Abraham Hicks. Okay, I'll go on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I'd say just watch the videos for a video or something, like listen to a couple of videos, see what you think. I often don't go into explaining what it is.
No, of course.
It's like hear it for yourself, because
Yeah.
I didn't know what Abraham Hicks was, but then it
Have
started.
you heard of Inca? Have you heard of Teal Swan?
Yes. Yeah, I like Teal Swan too. Yeah.
Mm.
She's quite deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes into the real dark stuff.
No, I've heard the name because I saw one of the documentaries about Teal Swan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to add that I really appreciate what you all said, because also about the when I do something only with my will, I always like for example, when I want to go to sleep, or when I want to force me into sleep, that with my will, that is not happening. And also I now think is it's always the state, or when I do something in a more playful and easygoing, letting go way, that is then happening. And that is for me in that moment now. I am learning that, because really in the past I was always trying too hard, and I tried so hard, and I get an eye migraine. I don't know if anybody knows.
Yeah.
And then I had to pause then, but now I see the signs, and when I can stop earlier, and then I can pause and think, no, that's the wrong way.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go into a meditation. So if you all want to get yourself comfortable, I think it's about 15 minutes this one. But it's a repeat of Neville's. They put it on a repeat into a meditation. So what would the feeling be like if it were true meditation? Just going to show that. Oh, it's come back off. Turn it back on. Oh. So if you get yourselves comfortable, thank you everyone for this week. It's been amazing. We have got our final session tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's only going to be a short one of 40 minutes because I have to leave the house at 6. I found a running club, so I'm quite excited. So I'm going running at 6 tomorrow. So it'll be about 45 minutes a session tomorrow. So if anybody wants to join, it'll just be a video and a exercise video being played tomorrow. So it'll be I think it's a Tai Chi one. So it'll be a 25-minute Neville Goddard video, and then a 25-minute Tai Chi. If anybody wants to join, you are welcome to. So I shall see you all soon. And just say we do have sessions on this weekend as well. We have 7 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday, Qigong, and 8 a.m. for the Jodie Spencer's meditations. Anybody wants to join, we've got the Law of Attraction at 12 p.m. on Sunday. That'll be all Abraham Hicks teachings, Esther Hicks and different Law of Attraction teachers, and that's 12 till 6 on Sunday. You do have to message for that because it's not my group. I'm co-hosting with Nick, and I get 10 free spaces for those that are at the book club. So if anybody wants that, because it is normally a paid event, just message me for a place. I'll be taking the sessions from 2:30 onwards. I'll be doing some of this again, as well as some of Neville's on Sunday, and we'll be watching the Edinburgh Abraham Hicks workshop as well. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. I shall see you all soon.
What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What would it be like? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it be like if it were true? Now yield completely.